Hey guys, welcome to the Rollout. You're watching the Fabled 42 Network, where we create community through friendship, gaming, and chaos. Our sponsors, we are, of course, always sponsored by Griff & Co., who makes all of our 3D printed terrain, and our newest sponsor, Critical Dice. We are so happy to finally have on board, so make sure you stick around for Realms of Ukador. We'll be doing a special dice giveaway during that. But I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Genevieve Marie, and welcome to the Rollout. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have some news for you today, other than our merch, which is in our Teespring store. So there is a new early access game out there for y'all on Steam called Valheim. This one is a very fun, it looks very fun, and we have Chris Solos go play it. Apparently he's played 100 hours of it, and he says it's amazing, even for an early release game. You can buy it now on Steam for only $20. It's an RPG where you are set as, where you are a battle-slain warrior, and the Valkyries have ferried your soul to Valheim, in which you can fight monsters and go on quests and do amazing things. So go check it out. It's only $20 and it's on Steam.
Awesome. And if you are getting into kind of the spooky spirit, Wizards just announced you can pre-orders are now open for Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. It looks so fun. It's going to be kind of a terror themed campaign through Ravenloft. There's two new subclasses which look really interesting: College of Spirits for the bards, and then Undead Pact for warlocks. I'm very excited about that. And there's also new character lineages, and just it looks like a really spooky thing. So please check out the pre-order for that. It does come out on May 18th. Yeah. All right, guys. So today we are spotlighting our tabletop, company, and we are so excited to have two of the founders of Beadle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse here. We have Jon Ciccolini and Bill Rehor. Guys, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Why don't you introduce us quickly? Jon, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Like you said, I'm Jon Ciccolini, one of the founders of Beadle and Grimm's. We are a company that produces sort of premium tabletop experiences, so that when you are sitting around the table with your gaming friends, you can wow them with your amazing DM props and materials, and just blow them away with a killer campaign.
Nice. And Bill.
Yeah, hi. I'm Bill Rehor. I'm also one of the founders of Beadle and Grimm's. We started about 3 years ago. Is that right, Jon?
Yeah.
I think we're coming up on our third year anniversary. We are licensees of Wizards of the Coast. So we know the new Wizards book by the code name Shadow, which is what we've been calling it for the last 5 months. So I'm still in an adjustment period of learning its actual name.
Yeah.
We are licensees of Wizards of the Coast. We're also brand new licensees of Paizo. We're working in the Pathfinder universe, and we're going to be expanding into the Starfinder universe as well. So we're really just trying to expand our horizons and invade every tabletop experience that we can find.
I mean, that sounds solid. I mean, you would not remember this, but Genevieve and I, we were both part of Stream of Many Eyes a couple years ago, and that was the first time. Well, it must have been exactly when you were just kind of launching, because you had
we literally signed our contract backstage at Stream of Many Eyes.
Because I remember coming over to your booth. We were the fight team that was there.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and like you guys were amazing, and Matt was like talking me through it, and I was like, this is so cool. So that's one of the reasons we're also really excited to have you here, because we saw you in your infancy. But yeah, let's start with that. So, I mean, obviously, you all who founded this, longtime D&D players, but what made you decide to, what was the impetus behind moving forward with this, with doing this,
I mean, I think it was a combination of two things. One is that we are five old friends. Myself, my brother Charlie, John and Matt and Paul Shapiro. We all met in theater school.
So Bill, did you say old or did you say old twice?
You can't say old enough for us.
I thought you said it twice, which I thought was more appropriate.
I'll say it at least 5 times by the time I'm done with this story.
Young at heart.
But yeah, so we met in theater school in the 90s in New York, and we bonded over D&D. We all realized that we all had this thing in common, and we ended up playing in the lobby of the Broadway Theater where our theater school was at 3 a.m. Somebody had the keys, and we would go in there in the middle of the night to go play Dungeons and Dragons together. And it really cemented a lifelong friendship for us. So we had been looking for a long time for something creative that we could all work on together. And because we had this thing in common, it was always an exciting idea to find something related to gaming. And then the year before Stream of Many Eyes, we were up in Seattle for the Stream of Annihilation. Matt was guesting on that stream, and we all came along just to see it. And over the course of those few days of all of us being together and really being immersed in the D&D world, we sort of came up with this idea that, in the video game industry and in the music industry, there are these premium products that cater to the super fan. Bruce Springsteen sells an album for $15, but it'll also sell a big collector's box set for $300 for people who really love his stuff. And we felt like that was lacking in the gaming community at that time. There wasn't a lot of that being addressed. And so we went to Wizards and pitched them this idea of doing premium boxed sets built around their existing adventures that would enhance the analog in-person tabletop experience, which is what we grew up, playing with and what we were most familiar with and most in love with. Mm-hmm. So that was the genesis of it. And, the first thing they said to us when we sat down with them was, there's no shortage of people who want to play D&D. The shortage is people who have the courage to DM. And we totally get that. Like, DMing is hard. And the adventures, while much higher quality than they were back in the 80s, maybe. The writing is exceptional. The art is exceptional. They spend a lot more time on it and have big teams of writers working on these things. And they're fantastic adventures, but they're very sandboxy. Players can go anywhere they want. It's not like those old Expedition into the Unknown kind of things where you walk down one corridor and you can turn left or right, and that's about the only choices you've got. And so it's challenging and it's daunting. And so that's been a big guiding principle for us with these boxes is, how do we make the DM's job easier? How do we make them more confident? How do we make them look better? How do we make them better prepared? How do we make preparation easier so there's less time spent before every session of trying to figure out how the game's going to work? So we focus a lot on that. And John, maybe you can give a few examples of how we approach that with our boxes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say when we first started talking about this, I'm a DM, and I'm a DM who's a little bit older now. I don't have the time to create a handwritten note and put it over my flame stove to burn the edges, and create 100 props for my game. I have a little bit more, purchasing power than I have time. And so this kind of product really spoke to me as far as, I can put a little bit of money, maybe even get everybody at the table to pitch in a little bit. Yeah. And we'll have this, incredible box experience for however long that campaign lasts. What's that going to be? 6 months? Is it going to be a year? So, if you look at a whole year and you look at the cost of a box broken out by 5 people, it ends up being, the cost of a pizza for each game, pretty much.
That's true.
And so, yeah.
So what goes, so kind of maybe walk us through the process of what goes into developing these boxes. So like, obviously I'm assuming you're play testing through the games and, researching, but how do you go about deciding, what's going to be included in these boxes that you do? Because there's some pretty amazing stuff. I mean, you've got like, some of them have jewelry and, the tattoos and things like that.
Yeah. We try to, we try to surprise people with every box we do. We're very aware that a lot of our customers are repeat buyers, and we don't want to just kind of, take a cookie cutter approach to it and say, well, for every adventure we do 5 of these and 3 of these and 1 of those. We get the we get the books in advance. So we've actually been, so in the example of Shadow, we've been reading that for a while now, and we get the opportunity to just deal with the text initially and try to think about what, we have a first session, which is just a wish fulfillment session, which is the most fun part of this job, where we all sit down after reading it once and we go, what's the craziest thing we can think of that would be super fun to have with this? And we just start throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah.
And some of them are bananas, and some of them end up just not being appropriate for various reasons. Some of them are just not practical, but some of the things that we thought were absolutely nuts ended up getting into a box. We had this, we had something in Avernus that we referred to as the Devil Forms, which was a play on a very old children's toy called Color Forms, if you've ever heard of those. Mm-hmm. And Color Forms were basically, so you would buy something that would have like a picture of a city street, and then you would have all these little forms of things that you might find on a city street. So you might find a form of a person, and a form of a fire hydrant, and a form of a car, and they were sticky, and you could stick them onto the street, but then you could also pull them off and put them back on and move things around on that little street. This is Color Forms.
Yeah.
So we had the idea of doing Color Forms for hell, because there's a huge amount of the Avernus adventure where you're basically working your way across this barren landscape. It's like this Mad Max kind of universe, and it's a big sandbox. You can go in any direction. There are random encounters. There are scripted encounters. You can end up spending several sessions out there and doing an infinite variety of things.
Right.
And we couldn't figure out a way of like, how do we prepare a DM for any eventuality that's going to happen out in this wasteland? Because that's the scary thing for a DM, right? When the party says, we're going to go off this way and do that thing you never thought of before. And then the DM is, you're really out there trying to figure out how to make things work from there. So,
and it's not just likely, it's inevitable.
Oh, it absolutely. We did an entire episode called Off the Rails that was literally talking about just that. Like,
That's
what happens
exactly
when
it.
your players go this way? And it's like, DMs all like quickly having to create a map that didn't exist previously because they hadn't built out that part of the world yet.
That's exactly it. So that's exactly what this is. The Devil Form project for Avernus was the Off the Rails project. The what do you do when they want to do something that you haven't thought of before? Mm-hmm. So it's a big map that has a grid on it, but not much detail, and then this huge set of all of these things that you might find out in the wasteland, from piles of bone to rivers of lava to pools of blood. And so you can create any kind of terrain you want out of this thing. And it ended up being really fun and really useful, and people really liked it. But it started off in that first meeting of what's the craziest thing you can think of that we could throw into this box. but it was justified by the text. It was justified by the possibility or the probability or the inevitability that a DM is going to be stuck in that period of the adventure, having to come up with things on the fly.
Right.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, one of our guiding principles is this going to help the DM? Is this going to add to the adventure? Because that's a major factor in what we decide to put in the box. And there are going to be elements that are in almost every box, if not every box. There are some things that are pretty common, like encounter cards.
Mm-hmm.
These are cards that can rest on your DM screen where there's art on the front for your players to see while they're fighting or dealing with something. And then on the back, where the DM can see, is all the stats and the role-playing information. And so those are something that you're almost always going to get in a box. Maybe battle maps of some kind are very likely to be in a box. Now, those could look very different from box to box, depending on what the adventure demands. But that's something that is very, almost always in a box. You're highly likely to get a DM screen that is specific to that adventure. So what we do is we, as DMs, we try to think, what are those tables? What's that information that I'm going to constantly need at my fingertips for this particular adventure? Let's put it on the inside of that DM screen so that if I'm in Waterdeep, I have that list of key NPCs, so I don't have to go flipping through the book to find it, right? I can just look right there and see it and spout it out and look super, super smart.
You're like, I was totally prepared for that.
yeah. In fact, with the Avernus box, I don't know if you're familiar with the adventure, but the first couple of chapters, you're in the real world and you're in Baldur's Gate, and then at a certain point in the adventure, you get sent down to hell. So we actually put two different DM screens in the Avernus box. You have one that's the Baldur's Gate DM screen that has all the reference stuff for Baldur's Gate and Candlekeep that you'll be dealing with early in the adventure, and art from Baldur's Gate. And then you swap that out and you get to put down the big art from hell, and you've got all the rules about hell there at your fingertips for the second part of the adventure. So again, just we really try to make every decision based on what that particular adventure is demanding from us.
Right. All of the stuff in the box, I mean, it looks amazing. At what point do you guys start working with artists, or are you there from the beginning, like the nascent of the idea to the end of like the production of the item, and then you're like, yes, that's a go? Like what part of the production are you guys overseeing as far as it coming from an idea and then being made into an actual product?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're such a small company that we all wear many hats.
Yeah,
and so
I am sure.
It's an understatement.
So all of it.
Yeah. So it's like Bill said, it's that idea stage. It's figuring out what's going to go in the box, and it's working with. And by the way, in that idea stage, we never argue about anything. Everything is everything. There's no argument. There's no haggling. It's just very clean and easy.
Just throw everything on the table.
Yeah,
that's right.
Please don't ever have Matt on and ask him about that.
But eventually we start sharing ideas with wizards, and they're super collaborative, right? They're great to work with. And once we settle on ideas, we very quickly start getting our artists to do concepting. What's the concept? Let's look at that. Let's make sure they don't go too far down the road of, producing something before we get approval on the concept, make sure that the idea is right, and then, take it step by step as we go all the way to through production.
Yeah, and since we're dealing with books that haven't been published yet, we really do have to work very closely with the artists because they don't have as much information as we do about it. So it is a very hand-in-hand process with all the great artists that we work with that create the art pieces, that create the in-world props. We've assembled a really great roster of people, and being collaborative is an essential qualification for that. And it's always been, thankfully, I mean, we've always had those experiences. Everybody we've worked with has been absolutely fantastic and really understands the need for, answering to our expectations, to the needs of the adventure, and to the wizard's approval process. There are a lot of steps to go through with these things. And fortunately, the people who have worked in this industry for a while really understand that and embrace it, and are very, very collaborative.
Yeah, and some of our best pieces were pieces where we came to the artists and said, we're not exactly sure. We're looking for your input. We're looking for your take on it. Yeah. And they come back with something that's like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
So is there, and maybe there's multiple answers to this, but in all of the boxes that you've created so far, even the one that you're working on now, is there a specific item or element that you are just very proud ended up in it, or maybe, just really excited that got in, or that, I don't know, that you're just like, you're like, I'm really proud of that one.
I think we all, because we all contribute to the process, we all end up having sort of a favorite child of the stuff that went into a particular box. And I know Matt was, he was the proponent of the Lulu plushie that went into the Avernus box, and he had to fight hard for that one. We did not warm up to that one for a long time. It was a hard.
Initially I was a no on that one.
So this is all part of that whole we don't argue about anything.
Exactly, right. This is a prime example of how we always agree.
Did I just say that? Scratch that. I was a yes the whole time.
We always wanted that plush.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's something he had to fight hard for, and he won us over, and it ended up being fantastic, and we were all very happy with it. So those are the ones where you had to invest emotionally and right. Kind of push a rock up a mountain. Right now, I'm working on the our first Paizo project, which is our first project that's really focused on the players instead of the DM. We're doing something called the Complete Character Chronicles.
I saw the books laid out.
Yeah. So these are our books. This is one of the press copies. It's not real, but it's a beautiful.
It's
cover.
A pretty cover.
But yeah, so these are books that are designed for a player to record the life of a single character from birth to death, and to be the single resource for that character when you're sitting at the table. So it has a hugely expanded character sheet in it that's about 20 pages long that gives you all the room to write out all your spells and all of your equipment, and lots of room to breathe and make it really comprehensive. Has lots of room for the people you've met, the places you've gone, recording all that kind of structure journal kind of stuff. The middle section is from the core rulebook and the advanced player's guide, and it's all of the information that is specific to that class. So with the the version that's the Cleric Chronicle, it has all of the pages from both of the core rulebooks that relate specifically to clerics, including the entire cleric spellbook. So you've got all the spells, but you're not having to go through all the wizard spells to get there. It's just your stuff. And then the second is much more of a free form. The third section is kind of a free form sort of journal that gives you lots of room to record everything that happens in your game logs and just any notes and thoughts you have from individual sessions. And then the final thing is there's a whiteboard that comes with it that is built to accompany you at the tabletop. That is, it's a dry erase board that is full of all the things that change during the course of a single game. So, your hit points and...
Because we've all erased through our character sheets before.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So this gives you the opportunity to for those things that are changing all the time, and it's specific to the class. So the wizard one has a section for familiars and summoned creatures, because if you're a summoner, you're going to go through 3 of those in a game session, maybe, and you're constantly erasing it and writing it down again. So anyway, so this is something that I had been pushing for a couple of years, and was very excited to find a partner in Paizo that was very excited about pursuing this and doing this as something that really hasn't been out there yet. So that's the thing that right now I'm really passionate about, because that's the rock that I'm having to push up a hill.
Right. Jon, is there something specific that you were like?
I do a lot of the work with the illustrators. And so one of the most satisfying parts of my work is bringing an idea to an illustrator and seeing what they bring to it. We work with an illustrator named Siddharth, who does a lot of our DM screens. And, as you can imagine, the art for a DM screen can be really epic.
Oh, yeah.
And so he did like our Strahd DM screen and our Saltmarsh DM screen and our Avernus DM screen. And so those are some of the funnest projects for me to sort of bring to life.
Yeah, I mean, I love the collaborative process working with an artist just to like bring your character to life or bring your world to life. It's
yeah.
One of the oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's nothing. Please continue. I was
just going to say that we're introducing these class-specific dice sets.
Oh.
So they're like metal tins that have dice that are specific, the right dice that are specific for a class. And we worked with an artist, his name is Lee, to do the art on each of the tops of these collector dice tins. And he did them in the style of like oversized tarot cards. And so we've got like the barbarian tarot on the barbarian tin, and the cleric and the wizard and the rogue. And I was just so thrilled with what he came up with for those. That's another thing that we've done recently that I'm super excited for people to get their hands on.
I will be buying those. I have a dice problem, and that sounds amazing.
Excellent.
So
you're on our list.
I am like, as I sit here, I'm like, I am your target demographic.
Yes. For sure. Actually, that was a heavy lift. Like coming up with that, starting with the concept of, I mean, it sounds obvious kind of in retrospect, but when you sit down and say, okay, we're going to do 14 different tins for all the different classes.
Right.
What do we do? Like, how do you approach that? How do you create an image that everybody who's running a rogue is going to feel like, yeah, that speaks to me. So it was a complicated process, and Jon working with the artist to come up with a solution to it that feels diverse and universal and yet specific, to that class, was really, really great. And he did a great job with that. And then, that project had sort of parallel tracks, because on the one hand, you're dealing with the artistic side of creating the tins, and then on the other side, you have the very practical thing of, well, what does make a rogue dice set different from a sorcerer's dice set? Yeah. And and that takes some work. And, we really had to sit down with the rules and go, okay, this class, you're going to need lots of D6s for back attacks. And, this one, you're going to need this, and this one, you're going to need that. And fighters need those extra D20s for the offhand attacks, but they need to be different colors because you need to know which one was your left hand and which one was your right hand. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an example of where our old, there's that word again, our very old group of five founders helps us a lot, because we've been playing for a very long time in a lot of different systems. And so that experience kind of speaks to those questions when they come up.
Yeah. Ancient, you could use
sure,
venerable, lots of
seasoned.
Very near death, I think.
Seasoned.
Well, I mean, they do have that new Pact with the Dead Warlock subclass coming out, so there you go.
We're very familiar with Pacts with the Dead, yes.
So, I mean, the one thing I loved about all the things that you guys are producing is, I mean, one of the big reasons a lot of us get into tabletop gaming is the community environment, sitting around a table, playing with your friends, everything. Obviously, things have changed in the past year.
Son of a bitch.
We now have D&D Beyond with the digital character sheets, and we're all playing on Zoom and everything. And have you guys had to consider that in what you're doing? I mean, you're still moving forward with tactile products because, hopefully things obviously will go back to normal at some point, but is the new digital gaming experience which so many people have been doing for the past year, is that something that has, been in your mind as you're working on, this latest project?
Yeah, for sure. It's in our mind. We are what we are to a certain degree. And we're proud of that. And we're not anxious to change it. On the other hand, where we can, we want to make our products accessible to people no matter how they play role-playing games. With the Pathfinder books, we are doing PDF versions of these books, so that people who, not just people who play online, but even if you go, watch people play at a tabletop, lots of people will bring an iPad and they'll just the character sheet on the iPad. Mm-hmm. Great. We're all for that, and any way we can find that we can cater to that is awesome. We'll continue to try to find ways to make our products accessible to people who play the game in different ways. We love the tabletop experience. We love the in-person experience, and we hope to encourage people to keep playing that way when the opportunity is there.
Right. Yeah.
For some people it's not, for some times it's not, for some epidemics it's not. But
when COVID first hit, you better believe, we had a moment where we said, what does this mean? Right? I mean, what does this mean to our products, to our fans? And we, that's when we were looking at Icewind Dale, our Icewind Dale products. And we were saying, what do we want to do here? And we decided to take the leap of faith and still do a platinum edition. And, people responded. We sold out quicker than we ever had before.
It's still sold out on your site. I can't get one.
Yeah. So people believe that they will be around the table again soon. And it was super satisfying and encouraging to see people take that leap of faith with us.
Well, and I think that's one thing that tabletop gamers are always going to want is that physical experience, and it's like, we're playing digitally and it's like, I still want to roll my own dice. I know D&D Beyond has the built-in dice, but right. God damn it, those Icewind Dale dice have failed me every time. So I'm using my own.
Yeah, and we hear stories about people who, they have the Icewind Dale box and they'll take a prop from it and send it to one of the players in an envelope that says, don't open until I tell you to. And,
Yeah.
and that like things like that are fantastic. We
Right.
love to hear that kind of stuff. And so, people find ways to adapt and overcome, and we're just so profoundly grateful to the people who have continued to support the company through this, because we know it's hard, and not everybody is getting to play these things the way that they're exactly meant to be played, and yet people have continued to support us, and so we have more on our plate this year than we've ever had before. We have a very ambitious schedule this year. We've hired our first full-time employee this year, which is so exciting. Justice Armand is our new full-time employee. He's amazingly talented and smart and much younger than us. And will be around long after we die.
He just has a little more energy, maybe.
Yeah. But his intelligence and talent and enthusiasm and full-time availability are allowing us to really expand our horizons and take a little bit more risk this year. So we're really super excited about the stuff that's coming out that I can't actually.
I was just going to say, I know you can't talk about it, but is there anything you're super excited about? But you probably can't talk about that.
Yes.
Yes, super
Well,
excited.
so I'll say,
yes, we can't talk.
Right. So, fortunately, the announcement about Shadow has been made. Everybody knows about that, and I don't think we've actually officially announced it yet, but we'll go ahead and announce it here. We are doing a silver box for the
Van Richten's Guide.
Van Richten's Guide. Yep. So we're very, very excited about that. That's going to be a super fun experience. We don't get to do most of the boxes we do are just straight adventures, like Avernus or Waterdeep. So when we get these opportunities to do books that are more source book oriented, that are more about world building, it's a slightly different approach. We did this with Eberron last year. And really had a great time building out that world building box for Eberron. So we're sort of approaching it in a similar sort of way, but it requires a lot of different thought processes than what we normally do. So that's a lot of fun.
That's a scoop. That's a scoop.
I was just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Platinum box coming out for Van Richten's Guide. I am so excited.
That's right. So we definitely are there. We definitely are doing a platinum box for the big sort of spotlight adventure that Wizards is doing this year, like they do every year around September. I can't say what it is, but we are definitely working on it as we speak. It is going to be a big platinum edition, and it's super fun, very different from anything that they've done before, and so that's very exciting to be working on. We have all of the Pathfinder stuff that is in sort of the pre-production stage right now. That'll all be debuting in the summer. We're starting with 5 classes with sort of the core 4, which is what we started with: Fighter, Cleric, Rogue, and Wizard. And then through the Kickstarter, we ended up adding Druid by popular demand. So we're actually doing 5 books to start out with. But we're hoping that we'll be able to expand that very quickly, but before the end of the year, we'll be able to announce some other additions. And then we have one other project that we can't say a single word about, but we're very excited. It's going to be very different, expand our horizons, and
danger, Will Roberts.
Yeah, exactly. That was
I
all
that,
I was saying. Join our mailing list. We would love to be able to get you on our mailing list and let you know when we make this big announcement. So please go to the website.
Please go to the website and join the mailing list. I feel like that's like every interview I ever do. They're like, "So what are you working on?" And I'm like,
I know.
I'll tell you in 2 years. I can't.
Stuff, things. I am working. It's not just it's not a lie.
Right.
So under Curse of Strahd, and because I'm on your website right now,
Okay.
it says it says that for the legendary special edition, there's finger puppets, and we did talk a little bit about the controversial plushie.
Mhm.
And right on the website, it says, and I quote, "In our annual exercise of letting certain members of the team who will remain nameless run amok with our budget, we bring you finger puppets. Are you willing, right here and now, to out who will remain nameless?"
Fucking Matt.
Matt and the finger puppet. So he has a thing for plushies, finger puppets. I mean,
Yeah.
youthful
Yeah.
expression.
And I mean, what really makes me angry about it is that he was right about that one too. They're awesome.
Look,
People
Everyone
Alright.
wants finger puppets.
Okay, so Lindsay's a dice person. I am a plushie person. I am. I have not gotten into the dice because I know that is just a steep.
It's a black hole. It is.
It's a steep hill that if I trip, I'll just keep tumbling down until the end of
Black
time.
hole.
Yeah, exactly. Just spaghettification.
Like, how many Kickstarters
Mine.
is too many? I don't know.
You may never find out. There may never be a too many.
I mean, I guess when the money runs out, then you've got
That's
to
what credit cards are for.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta call the experiment null and void because you don't have enough to continue.
Right.
You don't have enough resources to continue. But I'm very glad that I got to figure out. I just love that who will remain nameless.
Yeah. He's not nameless. He's not anonymous. He's openly guilty. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. We're actually we're working on a plushie for this year. We've got a couple of candidates. We're weighing our options. So it's going to happen. It's just going to depend on. We got a few decisions to make about that one, but
Right.
we'll have
Put that
something
to
else
a
to
vote.
chip in, throw onto the pile.
Well, with the finger puppets and now having to do everything over like online and on Zoom and stuff, you can actually have a finger puppet like show,
It's true.
Yeah, it's
online. That's something in the box that you can actually use for your online gaming. Just, put on the puppets and put on a little show. Just make sure that you're behind your DM screen while you do it.
Yeah. Super, super weird and creepy, and
But I mean,
people will worry about you, but you can do it. Yes.
Don't let me
Matt, do we need to have an intervention to talk about the finger puppets?
Well, Blinsky toys are a big thing in that world. And for a long time, we were like, how can we incorporate that? We're going to have this big toy in our box. And we went back and forth and landed on these really cool finger puppets.
The designs are so cute. They're adorable. They look
Really, the undead cleric is adorable. What is the matter with you?
That's my favorite.
I like weird things. The faceless bride, definitely. Like that's just creepy on another level.
Yeah.
The jester / marionette, I respect that 100%. Clowns are the best thing to make scary things out of. So all of these
That's adorable.
designs, wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Good.
10 out of 10
Good.
would buy.
Thank you.
So with all of these,
We're going to quote you on our website.
10
That's
out
right.
of 10. Genevieve Marie said 10 out of 10 would buy. Clowns are excellent.
well, now I just feel like we need rollout finger puppets. I mean,
Right.
honestly, can we talk to the merch team? Is that a thing we can do?
We'll hook you up. We got contacts.
Oh my God, Chris, hi.
Chris, we're getting finger puppets for all the shows now.
It's spring.
Chris does not approve.
Never should have invited us on, Chris.
You know what? Maybe that can be my full-time job for COVID times, is making all the finger puppets.
Finger puppets. But I mean, it does go to, the creativity behind, what it is that you guys are doing and what it is we all do when we're playing these games. You know, like, yes, we do love those really gritty RP moments or those epic battles that we have. But then, you know, we also love those moments of levity that sometimes we need when things have gotten a little too chaotic and, you know.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, you know, we try to really bring some humor and some levity and some occasional snark into what we do. You know, what I'm thinking of a couple of things. There's a section in the Avernus adventure where there are some red caps that are on the battlements of this castle that you're trying to get into, and the book says that they openly mock you if you give them the wrong information or you don't, you know, they don't trust you or whatever. And so we included an entire list of taunts that a red cap might throw at the party to give the DM like a list of jokes and snarky things that red caps might say to the players if they engage with them. We love stuff like that.
Don't give us an opportunity to throw in a bunch of insults because we will go on that forever.
So I have to admit, like, you know, when I was playing through Fables, I honestly, most of the time was just trying to find the gargoyles to listen to all of their insults. So I feel like that's a thing that a lot of people would be open to.
There you go.
Because I'm like, oh, let's just have a gargoyle yell at me with a Scottish accent. This is fun.
You know, in the fighter book for the character chronicle, Rob and Charlotte Eargang, who are amazing designers for that, they have helped us put together this really cool thing for the fighter book. It's like this in-world Sears Roebuck catalog, but it's for weapons and armor, and it's so funny. It's like It's got all of the weapons and armor from the books, and it's got all the stats in it, so it's useful. But the way that they've put it together in this sort of in-world format of this weird, twisted catalog it's so funny and creative and just brilliant. And so that's something we're really excited about. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, we like to laugh at the table. We like to have, you know, it be a fun, exciting, risk-taking, hilarious experience. That's what it always is for us. And so we hope to bring some of that to what we do.
Well, that was actually kind of the next question that I have. I mean, obviously this has been mostly focused on DMs, but, you know, you guys bring your passion of gaming from, you know, years and years and years of playing and DMing. I mean, what is it you're hoping people will get from this? And do you find that it's more newer people trying to delve into DMing, or the, you know, more experienced people looking to expand what they're already doing? Or is it, you know, players? I mean, where are you seeing people fall who are, you know, passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is, you know, we survey our customers, you know, occasionally. And what we're finding, which is really exciting, is that when we first started, a lot of our customers were longtime gamers, you know, veterans, DMs who have played a long time and who are super invested. But as time has gone on, we're seeing younger players, newer DMs, and so we're seeing that audience base grow, and that's really cool. Not just for us, but I think for the game in general, and the future of the game and the future of tabletop role playing.
Yeah.
I think I imagine you all would agree that one of the great disappointments of this last year, on top of all the horrific death and all that sort of thing, the lack of conventions has been heartbreaking.
Yep.
And you know, for us as a business, that's our opportunity to connect with the people that we're trying to serve, and you know, to hear what they have to say and see their reactions in person, and we love having those interactions and those conversations. So we're feeling, a little less connected than we did a year ago to who our audience base is and what they're looking for. We've really been trying to supplement that by doing some streaming shows and interacting with fans that way, and that's been great. But we just cannot wait to get back into a convention hall, behind a booth, getting a chance to talk to people and hear, what brought you here? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
What's your game at home like? Because people have, just amazing stories of the kinds of games that they play in. And it's really, really fun to interact with people on that level.
Yeah, we did a show with some game developers. James Intracosco from MCDM and Chris Spivey were on, and they were talking about just that the lack of conventions, being able to, test play their games and get feedback, and it has been really hard. And yeah. I mean, and like you said, it's not always the same trying to do it virtually. And
yeah, you don't get those. I mean, some of the best conversations I've had have been, when I'm in the elevator going back to my hotel room at, 7:30 at night after working the whole day, and somebody who came by the booth earlier is there, and we end up just talking about their home game and their homebrew game that they've been playing with their friends since they were 14. And, there's just amazing stories that people have. And it's so fun to feel that enthusiasm, that they have for this game that brought us all together, and it's been such a big part of our lives. I mean, like I said, my older brother Charlie is part of this group, and he introduced me to D&D when I was 10. With the old TSR boxed sets, and it's really been part of my life for about as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And that's been a very, very long time.
I feel like we keep circling back to this.
It is a predominant theme with us.
The old.
Very close to death.
I have to say, the elevator conversations, especially convention elevator conversations, are the best conversations. Like, I have met lifelong friends on randomly meeting people on elevators. I have gotten jobs and countless other opportunities by just riding elevators at conventions. I mean, I'm not in an elevator.
Yeah, actually, Genevieve's that creepy girl who's just riding the elevator up and down all day long, trying to find a job.
I really enjoy a good elevator ride,
It's all the floors.
Yeah.
Yes, it's watching the buttons.
Why are all the buttons hit? Oh, it's Genevieve. All right. Yeah, fair enough.
It's seeing the button, stop lighting up. It's that completion feeling where you're like, oh, good. I lit them all up, and now we're at the top.
Hit them all. Clearly, there's no job to be had in this hotel. I got to walk over to the Hilton and start again.
Oh my God. And with that, it is actually 5:53.
I know.
Well,
I mean, is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up? Anything we left out, or you just want to promote, or anything?
No, I think we're good, right?
They're revealing that the next box is all plushes.
It's all plushies. That's the goal. That's the goal. It's a long-term goal, but that's on the horizon. Again, we just have a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out or announcing in the next few months. So please join the mailing list. If the crowd auction for the Pathfinder and the dice sets is still open, it's going to be open for another couple of weeks. So if you want to take advantage of the bundle discounts and the Kickstarter discounts, please go over to our Kickstarter site and sign up for that before we close it out. Otherwise, all those things will be moving to our regular website soon. So you'll be seeing it there very soon. And
join our Twitter. We announce a lot of stuff on Twitter. We just had a streaming game. Right now in February, we have something going on called Feberon, and it's 20% off of our Eberron Gold box. And we just streamed a one-shot that took place in the world of Eberron. So if you're interested in keeping up with what we're doing, follow us there too.
I've still got my my tattoo from the Eberron box that I put on for the Friday streaming game. So that is in the Eberron box. There's a set of tattoos in there that are really fun. Another one of those crazy ideas that we're not actually going to do that, right? And then we did it.
Tattoos and finger puppets, guys. I mean, that's why we're here. Let's be honest.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was such a pleasure. We love hearing all these stories. Genevieve, we have a giveaway.
We do have a giveaway. This giveaway is fun today. So we have a $10 gift card to Griffin Co. that we are giving away today. So please type in Griffin in the chat to enter. That is Griffin, Griffon. No one's gonna fault you for spelling it wrong though. So that's Griffin.
But you won't win.
Yeah, you won't win.
No shame, but you're out.
I will mock them actually. Don't promise.
You heard that, chat. You are being mocked if you miss.
You'll be mocked.
Vicious mockery. There we go.
Yeah, vicious mockery until the beginnings of the realms of Ugador, in which is when we will announce the winner who spelled it correctly. And everybody else who spelled it, their names are going to be mocked in a list, alphabetical order.
Nice.
So that's a $10 gift card from Griffin Co.
Yay. And of course, please head over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. This episode, if you missed it, if you came in late, will be available Friday at noon. We are now in podcast form, so you can check out our podcast. This episode will drop on Sunday at 9 a.m. And we will be back here next week with our Women's History special episode. We've got some amazing guests for you guys next week talking about women in tabletop gaming. So please make sure to tune in then.
You and I, we're women's too.
We are, but we have more women. So there you go.
Other women's too. The more women's, the better women's.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Have a great
Lindsay,
night.
Genevieve, Chris, thank you all so much for having us. It's been a pleasure.